Alright, hello Riven mains and Yasuo mains alike. I am the Nightwing, Way of Life Esports, coming at you guys with another League of Legends video. Today I'm going to be talking about Origen. Now, Origen is a long tenured League of Legends organization, obviously founded by one of Europe's most famous players, Xpeke. A lot of people know Origen from their 2015 run at the Season 5 World Championship, their downfall after that, where they got relegated shortly after that in Season 7. Season 7, because in Season 6 they got to the finals. Then they had their little debacle after that when Sven and Mithy left, and then after that they built a new roster, and then that roster was like the worst EU roster ever. They obviously were relegated and then didn't come back up until the 2019 year when franchising in EU obviously kicked off. They were in because they obviously were, backed by Astralis. That's why you obviously see this little star up there by their name. And it's been a real treat to watch Origen, come back into the EU scene, bounce back for spring, and then do what they always do, which is kind of fall apart. It's kind of in their history to do really well at certain points and then kind of fall apart. But more or less so, that could be due to a lot of the personality clashes on the team. There could be some behind the scenes issues we're not exactly seeing. But looking at how Origen played in 2019, they had a clear-cut strategy about how they wanted to play the game. They weren't really trying to play the game like everybody else, and I feel as if that was their best way of playing League. Right when, dragons would come up, they would obviously contest every single objective. They would be first to a lot of objectives with their older roster with Mithy and Cold. The roster started off pretty shaky, but then later on became the third best team in EU by spring. Rift Rivals, before that happened, they were looking pretty bad. And I know I kind of put them as the worst team for Rift Rivals, but in my own personal opinion, they were the worst EU team going in, and they actually were pretty bad. But, North America, the teams that, we sent were just so much worse than them that it just didn't matter. And right after Origen came back from Rift Rivals, we saw the aftermath effects of better teams being able to punish them, and then they obviously fell apart. They didn't even make playoffs. Cold said he couldn't play League anymore because of some, illness that he had been going through, basically some medical issues. I just theorized, an illness personally, but after that, they play against Splice in the Gauntlet. They obviously lose in a grueling best-of-5 series, and then right after that, we get this roster. So coming into the offseason, they pick up Xerxes, who I think is an upgrade over their previous jungler Cold. I think that he can better suit Alphari and Nukeduck's playstyles a lot more. It goes to show you that certain players do not synergize well properly, and I remember watching this Thorin podcast he had with Nukeduck and Cold, and I remember both of them being in that podcast together and saying completely different things about how to play League exactly. So if they're already thinking about how to play League differently from one another, it's just not going to work out. And the reason why I watch all of this League of Legends content is because I get to see these players in different lights and see how they're reacting to certain situations, seeing how they're talking about their teammates, and you can really gain a lot from paying attention to a lot of the players and what they're actually saying. Now, looking past all of that, they also switched out their bot lane. They do not have the same bot lane. They have a completely different new bot lane. They actually brought over the franchise man from Schalke, Upset, who was touted as one of the best EU LEC, I keep saying EULCS because I've been watching for that long. The new all-star LEC AD carry Upset. I think that Upset was the best EU AD carry all last year. He played absolutely incredible. He played a lot better than the likes of Reckless, Hans Sama, Kabe at various points. I think that him going to Origen obviously is going to be, very pay cut oriented, because that obviously Schalke is a football organization, and Origen obviously is just backed by another well-known Counter-Strike team in Astralis. So and Gilioto already mentioned on the last Loco Doco episode with Thorn that they used to do, that the team took a pay cut, so you have to assume Upset took a pay cut to be obviously with this team. It was said out of his own mouth. I'm pretty sure he's not lying about that. That would just be, something that you just don't lie about. And he said that a lot of the players came over here, obviously, to win. Now, that is probably going to be without its faults, actually. So, the last player they actually got was Destiny. And Destiny, as you guys remember, he was on Mammoth, who was on that Oceanic team with Clutch Gaming in their group with Unicorns of Love and Mammoth. Him and King were actually on the same team, and now King is on Cloud9 Academy, and Destiny is now on Origen. So I think that there are very good gems in the Oceanic scene, but obviously finding them and having them synergize with a team is going to be the problematic thing moving forward. But if he works out, then maybe more Oceanic supports get another chance to get, more chances to obviously be, a lot more accepted with a lot of more other major regions. Obviously, it does not come without its, what's the word I'm looking for? It does not come without its faults or basically its upsides. What I'm saying by that is, yes, these players might not be the most mechanically gifted, but if they're smart about the game, or if they are good players you see good things in, you can obviously nurture them with other players who are obviously better than them. And if they don't actually cost that much, I think it's very cost effective. And if they're actually pretty good, they're going to pay off a lot more better. And if they do pan out to be really well, you can end up getting rid of them to other teams for some pretty big buckets of cash, as I wanted to say that. But let's talk about Origen's new roster. So, going into this split, I don't think I can actually do LEC power rankings because I don't really know a lot of the rookies. What I will do is that I'll do something along the lines of like top 5 LEC teams, and Origen is going to be in there because Origen actually have a really good roster. You have a very, very balanced roster in my own personal opinion. Obviously, Nuke Duck and Upset have played together before on Schalke in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they played together in 2018 on Schalke, and then that's when Nuke Duck left to Origen. They obviously split. So Upset and Nuke Duck already know how to play together. And Xerxes, obviously, I think is the best jungler to fit these two playstyles. Xerxes can carry on his own, but he does have this tendency to kind of be invisible, and that's going to be his problem, is that can he shake off that invisibility thing he does? Because he can be a really good jungler. The problem with Xerxes is that there's games where he's just invisible and you just don't see him. That's a problem that he has, and we're going to have to see if he can actually improve on that. Now, Alphari is one of the more better top laners in EU. People say that he is extremely mechanically gifted. I've seen that for quite some time. I think he's a really strong individual top laner. I think he's a very strong weak side top laner. I think there's a lot of good things about him. I just don't think that he is very carry oriented when it comes to how you look at a traditional top lane carry threat like Cabochard or Wonder, players like that. I don't think he fits that exact mold, but if he can just be a strong weak side top laner who's better than Bwipo and better than players formerly like Visit Chachi, then you have a really good top laner I think you can build off of. And he wasn't a problem for Origen last year to a certain extent. His inability to kind of carry at various moments does and will and can have its problems later on during this year. But as of right now, you're looking at a pretty good solid top laner. Now, can these two have better synergy than Cold and Alphari did last year? It depends. We haven't seen these guys play yet, so we don't really honestly know how their synergy will pair up. But just knowing both of their personalities, I think Xerxes will, obviously help him out if he needs it. But I just don't think that these two specifically will have the better synergy on the team. I think that Xerxes and Nuke Duck are actually two peas in the same pod. Both great mechanically gifted players at various things that they can do around the map. But Nuke Duck's problem is that he's not good. Nuke Duck's problem is that he is good, but he can never really pair up with somebody. I think he has the same problem that Bjergsen has. Really great individual player. We know they're good. We've watched them play. The issue with Nuke Duck is the same issue I have with Bjergsen. They cannot function with a jungler properly. It's just inability. They have no ability to do it, and their issue of just finding that correct click synergy with their polar opposite is something that always has been a hindrance to them. Now, this year, can Nukeduck finally get over that and work well with Xerxes? I'm not really too sure yet. Looking at how Xerxes played on Splice, I think that we'll kind of see the exact same thing with Origen, unless they're going to be all about team play, which is what Origen were about last year. But that was with Mithy, and now they have a completely different team, so it's going to look a lot different as well coming into the later end of the split, when probably at the first part of the split, we're going to see them obviously work through the kinks. I think they're going to be looked at as the macro team, but not the explosive early game team. I don't think that they're going to be an explosive early game team based off the quality of their players, but players like Nukeduck and Upset can have those games. It just depends on what champions they're going to obviously have. Now, let's talk about Upset. So, I think that Upset was the best EU AD carry last year. He played great. There were some games, obviously, where he didn't play well, but literally everybody else had the exact same problem, so you can't fault him for that. And you also have to come with the added aspect of he was the only really shining bright star about Schalke, and taking him and putting him into a field of carries like Xerxes, a light carry like Alfari, and you have Nukeduck, who can obviously hold his own in the mid lane, it's going to make things a lot more easier for him to carry the game. Now, will Xerxes have to dedicate resources to Upset in order for him to actually get going? Not necessarily, because Upset and Destiny, I think, will be a very decent bot lane, to the point where they're going to be very lane dominant in the way that they don't lose lane, but they will translate enough of an edge to actually push it over into the mid game. Now, I've actually seen Destiny play, and it's not that he's some garbage Oceanic support. I don't know. I kind of understand why they didn't go with a support from the region. It mostly, and you can kind of guess this, it obviously has to do with budget issues. People just don't randomly choose Oceanic players unless you just either see something really good in them or you are having money problems. I don't really know if they're having money problems, but they did choose a Oceanic support for a reason, and whatever reason they might give you might not be the exact reason they're actually saying that it was the real reason in hindsight. But Destiny, he can play some things good. Like, he's a very good player at knowing when to go in on team fights and knowing how to start a team fight. But I think that his problem is translating that lead from the laning phase or translating it from a team fight advantage into something else. And we saw that from the last year's groups when he was in the same group with Clutch, was that when he faced a better team with a much better support, he really just didn't know what to do. Now, I think that initially Origen is going to struggle because of how new Destiny will be to playing with much better, higher caliber players in the terms of the support position for Europe. I'm not saying that Europe is stacked with supports. What I'm saying is he is still so much weaker than all of them comparatively than they are to the other players. So basically what I'm saying is he is weaker than every single other support, probably outside of like a few, and that's going to kind of weigh down the team. What also can weigh down the team, from my own personal opinion, is that they're going to be too slow. And we've seen teams with Nukeduck and Upset and Xerxes and Alfari before. If they cater to who we kind of know who's going to be the carry of the team, they're going to be fairly slow. And I think their issue is going to be, what style do we want to play? Do we want to play what everybody else is going to play? Or are we going to play what we think is the best? Now, more or less so, kind of like a budget light Team Liquid. You know what I mean? Like, you can do the new kids way of playing League. You're playing your fast macro. You get your Barons at 25 minutes. But is that really going to be their preferred way of playing League? Even when we saw Nukeduck and Upset on the same team just a few years ago, they played the scaling style, you know what I mean? Even though it's not the most optimal style to play, I think that they're going to be a team with a lot of macro sense, a lot of veteran talent at this point to know how to play the game, and it is all going to depend on where they dedicate their resources. If they dedicate their resources to Upset and Nukeduck and let Alfari play weak side, that's perfectly fine, and all they have to do is groom up Destiny a little bit more, and I think you have a really good team here. I think you have arguably the third best team in the LEC at the moment, and congrats to Origen. you got a really good team here, despite probably having some money issues, because obviously you people just don't randomly pick up Oceanic players here. Like, let's be honest here. But other than that, even with the Oceanic support pickup, they do have a good team, and they're most likely the 3rd or 4th best team right now in the LEC, you know, in my pre-power rankings. So for the LEC, for my EU brethren, I will be giving you guys a top 5 LEC teams. I can't power rank them this year. I'm really, really sorry. I really, really want to, but there's so many rookies. I haven't really seen enough of them to really give you an accurate example. Like, if I were to do it biasly, Mad Lions would be 10th with a bunch of rookies and Humanoid, but obviously we know that's not right. So top 5 LEC teams is what I'll do for you guys. But I have a lot of League of Legends content I want to give to you guys before the season starts for North America and EU. And I also have to give you guys my LCS power rankings, which I've been working on. I swear to you, I have been working on. I have my teams ready. I'm up to like number 5 at the moment. So you guys have been really great to me. Thank you for all the continued support. I know I was sick in some videos, and a lot of people were saying, hey, get better, get some rest, the videos can wait, and I just want to say thank you for that. But I am much better now, and a lot of more content is coming. I have all of my League of Legends videos planned. Origen was the first team I wanted to talk about, because a lot of people had a lot of opinions on this team, and I just wanted to get my opinions out there like I do with every single other team. So I'll see you guys later. Like, comment, subscribe. Most of all, enjoy. I'm the Nightwing, and Way of Life Esports is signing out. See you guys later. Bye.
Hi there, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more stuff.
Yeah, thank you.